Can you hear me? This is the Gar and Old Show. We're going to yell the whole episode. Welcome. It's 7 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock.
Got it. Good. Got it. Is it third down? Is that why I can't hear you?
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock on a Thursday, and I want to get everyone hyped.
Thank you. Good gravy, man.
Fantastic. Well, welcome on. Happy Thursday, everyone, to the Garnet and Old Show, live 7 o'clock every Thursday.
Ryan.
Yes.
Garnet and Old. Inside info. Contacts. Big problems.
Big problems.
This is a shocking development.
Yes.
Where our show actually has some inside info. We're not used to that, but we've got it.
We're not used to it, but man, we have some comments, not only from us, but from our audience over the last couple of days. It's been like sad clown, right? It's been a lot of sadness mixed with some fun, because you can't live in the muck, Vince. You got to pull yourself up. You gotta make light of certain situations. But thank you everyone for being here. We just finished up a members only show at 6:30. So if you are a member and you become a member by hitting the join button and picking your membership level on YouTube, we just did a 30-minute episode just for you members only. So go back and take a look. I do want to shout out K-Dog, who says, wow, that really hyped me up to watch football.
Yeah, that'll hype you up. And K-Dog, if you don't mind. Oh, Doug's here too. You guys go out there and like this show and grab the link and share it out, because we are going to get super deep on some stuff here today. And my normal relaxed tone about things is probably not going to make it to the show.
Absolutely. And Douglas, we're right there with you. We've also been experiencing physical pain. But Vince, set us up here. I know we have a special guest. We're going to introduce him in a little bit, but kind of set up the why behind it.
Yeah. So everybody has heard and read and maybe experienced, if you were there, the crap show pretty much. Oh, and by the way, there might be some bad words in this show, just for those of you that may listen with their kids. Monday was a shit show in a lot of ways, and not the least of which would be kind of the game day experience itself. And I had some people around me in the section that I was in asking a particular question. And that question was centered around the Chiefs and why the Chiefs weren't playing at what would, we all know to be traditional times for them to play and traditional things that they should be playing at those traditional times. And it dawned on me that a lot of people either had forgotten or weren't in the know of what occurred last season as it pertains to when the Chiefs are allowed to play. So I tweeted about it, and I don't think I've ever had a post go like that.
I have, for bad reasons.
Yeah, for bad reasons. I'm interested to know how some of you people that are way more like out there than me, how you deal with that kind of thing. It's been interesting for me to kind of keep up with that. But as a result, then also, there's a great article written by Jackson Bakich. And if I'm saying that wrong, Jackson, you can correct me when you come on. But that article really spelled out some things, and he was able to get a source about that for that information as well. And he agreed to come on the show tonight because I thought the article was great, and I want to thank him on si.com. So let's bring Jackson on, and so he can get a chance to talk about the great article that he wrote. So Jackson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Vince. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. I appreciate y'all having me on. Like you talked about, having some posts going viral. my boss, Logan Robinson, who tweeted out the story as well, he had me tagged on it. So I'm seeing everything as well. It's not often I get something go that viral as well. But it's not, necessarily the greatest circumstance for that to occur in obviously this instance. But basically, I was at the game on Monday, like I'm sure you all were as well, and many of y'all's audience members. And I noticed some things, pertaining to the DJ music and pertaining to the Marching Chiefs. And, I wanted to ask who ended up being my source, an alumni member of the Marching Chiefs.
Let me jump in here real quick, because I've had a number of people assume that it was me. It's not me. I'm not the source. Just so we clear that up. Go ahead.
No, I didn't know that was
yeah.
No, sir. And so it's actually a former classmate of me. I just graduated from Florida State in August. So, no, thank you. Go Noles. And so I really just wanted to get his thoughts on what he thought of the production of the game. And, the conversation kept going and kept going. And I really wasn't planning on writing an article. And it got to the point where I was like, there's something here. There's something, I'm not fully aware of that I think people deserve to know and would want to read about. And so I asked him if he'd be, willing to answer some questions. And, we figured it was best that he remain anonymous. And so, that's basically what happened.
Yeah. And so the remaining anonymous part I get, because there is, let's face it, the Chiefs are always going to be and do what's best for the university, and they're going to do that in the right way, in the right manner. And so if you have been a part of that group, you kind of have that mentality anyway. And they never want to foster any kind of negativity at all, whether it's for the school, for the Chiefs themselves, or the interaction between groups.
And so, I addressed that at the end of the article, and Vince, you've addressed it as well in some tweets, which I thought were very poignant. In that, this is not a Chiefs versus Florida State thing. This is it basically boils down to is, why are these things happening? I think people were curious. Why is the war chant not being played on third down? Why are they not playing songs like Seminole Uprising more frequently? And so that's basically where I had the, drive to write this story.
Mm-hmm. And it worked out great because there are a lot of people. Hey, let's face it. There are a lot of people that were frustrated Monday night for a lot of reasons.
Yep.
And this was one of them. And, when people are angry about stuff, they tend to be more mobilized, which is, in this instance, it's great. And I'm not going to apologize for that, for jumping on the possibility here of shedding some light on something, because I think it's really important. In case anybody that's watching the show doesn't know what's going on, I want to quickly set the table here. In 2023, the Chiefs were approached by the athletic department there was a request from the players to take over the music on third down instead of the war chant being played, or some other thing from the Chiefs, normally the war chant, or some other thing from the Chiefs, because they wanted to have a music that they picked to hype them up, or whatever the reason may be. And the Chiefs, the leadership of the Chiefs were, sure, because what else are they going to say? Right. But of course they're going to say, sure.
Football drives us. I mean, of the universe.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
it's the driving force.
As part of that agreement, it was also agreed upon at that time that all the other downs were for the Chiefs, all of them. And what you saw throughout all last year, and I knew that this was going to happen, or I knew that happened. But But what you saw throughout this rest of the year was this gradual encroachment of canned music throughout the whole game, pretty much. And so that leads to Monday night, where everybody's ears were assaulted, right? And not just on defense. There's also a problem, by the way, this is for another time, but there's also a problem with the canned music going when we're on offense too. But that's a whole nother story. So that sets the stage for it. And some people were angry with it last year, but because of Monday night, there's this major understanding now of what really happened. And what really happened was, well, I want to get to that here in a second. Ryan or Jackson, do you want to get in?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I want to get in a little bit here because I had no problem. I went to a bunch. Vince and I, of course, went to a lot of games last year, and although we're in love with the music selection, it's not like it's like our jams most of the time. It was at a loud but acceptable volume level. It seemed to be cut off like at the proper times before a play happened or before offense started or after commercial. And the hallmarks of FSU, like at the end of between the third and fourth quarter, the songs that are supposed to play played correctly in the right timeline and everything. And so that's why Monday was so shocking, is because I get to the Champions Club and am just like, is it me, or is it turned up like a large percentage more, it feels like, than it usually is? And then just everything started to add up. The other things we'll get to, but like the video board issues, the clock missing, the you would come back, you see the big red clock when they're at commercial break, and that's kind of, as a person at the game day, watching the game, you see the clock tick down, and you're like, the guy walks off the field, and then the offense is generally ready to snap the ball. Like that's when they blow the whistle. And it was, to your point, Vince, to the point where they would blow the whistle, the ref would like wave his arm, and DJ would be standing there about ready to clap his hands, and the music was still playing, and he was kind of like sitting there with the prayer things for more than one reason, probably.
Good call.
And I was like, are we stopping? So it was just louder, more often, and not well timed. And you even cut off some FSU traditions, between certain quarters that people are used to hearing the whole thing play out, and it didn't happen. And then that combined with the video things, like Lawrence Toafili, best running back in college football, being displayed over and over, and he had one carry at one point. That was interesting. But going back to you, Jackson, when you wrote the article, were you expecting the kind of, I guess, blow up of the article? Because it wasn't just No Game Day or local no fandom. It seems like quite a few outlets picked up this story. Yes.
I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to go down. I knew it certainly had the capability and the possibility to, kind of blow up the way it did. But I looked at some of these other articles, and I saw they put the quotes of what FSU had said, and I kept just thinking to myself, and I'm not, putting down any other news outlet, but I just kept thinking to myself, there's more here. There's more to this story. And so, however, there was still that, the notion, as you mentioned, of other outlets speaking on this topic. So I honestly had no clue it was going to get the reaction that it did, but I was certainly aware that it could have, because anytime you have an anonymous source kind of delving into things that, I guess you could say were once private, it's going to get some traction naturally. I do want to make one point of, I'm just surprised that, and people had talked about, the Warchant not being played on third down, and, the lack of the usage of the Marching Chiefs. But I'm included in this. I'm surprised it took people, including myself, this long to kind of realize it. And I know y'all have pressed on this earlier before. And Vince, you talked about that in your tweet. People are just now realizing this. But that was part of the reason that I thought it was possible it wouldn't get as much traction, because people have already realized it. When I was doing my research, looking at old tweets from a year ago, that's what I found.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
and did you find that the response from your article, from people online messaging about it, tweeting about it, clearly Florida State has gotten the message? I'm sure a lot of texts, a lot of emails I can tell you from sitting in the Champions Club, which is full of a lot of donors who give big bucks to the university, were in their seats at the moment in the game while it was happening, while their ears were being salted, sending text messages and emails to people and letting everyone around them know that they were doing such. So Florida State has gotten the message. Now, they did put out a statement that I think Vince is going to cover here.
Yeah. Well, this is part of the problem. And like I said, I'm pretty calm about stuff, but this is part of the problem. This is the statement that was put out by the Chiefs today. And Jeff Cameron kind of touched on this earlier today, and he's absolutely right. This is something that I was going to bring up, and that is, when you have this kind of blowback, why is it that the Chiefs are putting out a statement? That doesn't equate. And this statement, if you happen to be listening on the podcast, the Marching Chiefs and the athletic department have enjoyed a relationship of mutual respect for decades. We regularly meet with our colleagues in athletics to discuss all aspects of the game day experience. Our mutual goal, as it always has been, is to help the team on the field and provide the best environment in college football for the fans. This continues to this day. The Marching Chiefs agreed in 2023 with the football team's request to introduce new music during third down. We believe this was a reasonable request. Side note, editorialize, I do not believe that is a reasonable request. We'll talk about that here in a minute. We take pride in our role in the game day experience, one that Seminole fans have come to expect. We will continue to work in partnership with athletics to find ways to improve the game day experience. We encourage everyone to continue to support Coach Norvell and the football team. Go Noles. And then the directors sign it. Why?
And you know those directors.
Why? I know them all. Why Florida State is the band program leading the charge on the statement that's something that is not of their doing? That to me is an indicator, a further indicator that there's not an understanding of what has occurred yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's what the statement is. Jackson, were you shocked at all that state? Oh, you weren't. I know you weren't shocked that the Chiefs put out a statement, but were you shocked that there wasn't a statement like from the university?
Well, they had already put out a statement, as we know, which is included in my article and others.
About the survey.
Yeah. Correct. And so I emailed Michael Alford directly after reading that statement that was put out. And, you can look at my article, you can look at others. It's the same statement. There might be a couple words fixed here or there, but it's the same statement. And so my guess, and this is just conjecture, is that they feel that is sufficient. It's not necessarily my place to say whether it is or not. I just wanted to report the facts. But what I will say is that I was surprised there wasn't a statement from the Chiefs, and this is not, I'm not putting anything on the Chiefs, or from Florida State as a whole, saying that they're looking at possibly changing that third down procedure. That was what I was most surprised about.
Yeah. I think what Vince, myself, I won't speak for you, but fans online, what we thought the response should be, as far as like specifically addressing the issues directly and what we're going to do about it, or we're going to look at it. And that's what we wanted. What we got was, hey, we appreciate all Florida State fans. We sent out the survey. We're going to look, we always look at the game day experience after the surveys. And we're going to put out any updates like we do, before the Memphis game. It was responded to, in my opinion. This is my and I appreciate your article, by the way, not being an op-ed. It was just facts, period. Because there's too many op-eds these days. There's a lot of politicizing things these days, and it's nice to see just, hey, what are the facts of this? But I can editorial. I can have a little bit more creative control of this show. I thought the response did not meet the demands of what it called for, meaning that acting as if, yes, we heard your output. We always look at it. We always do the survey, and we always reevaluate all the time. Indicates that this is to me as a fan, communicate from the university, indicates that this is a non-story. Of course, we always look at it, and we appreciate the feedback. It's almost like when you submit a survey to your favorite restaurant or something, and they're like, we love to hear from our community, and we will use this in the future for training opportunities. Like, instead of, here are the items that we've heard from you guys. Here are the changes we're considering making. We will keep you updated in next week's bulletin before the Memphis. Being more specific is what I, as a fan, was looking for, and I think that's what a lot of people were looking for. Vince, what do you think?
So I'm fully confident in Stephen Ponder, and I mean fully confident. And I know a lot of things are going to get fixed, and that's great, and they should. From the time clock to the sound being too loud to what the video board panels. I mean, all these things that kind of join together to get everybody kind of in this fury, right? I have full confidence in that. What I don't have confidence in yet is that they have a complete understanding on the ramifications of the decision that was made in 2023. I don't think they understand that yet. I think eventually they might, but I don't think they do yet. The reason why I know that is because there's been some recent interactions between the Chiefs and the athletic department to kind of make sure everybody's on the same page. And it was reiterated at this recent interaction of what the original agreement in 2023 was, that the Chiefs would no longer play on third down, and that all the other downs will be for the Chiefs, because that was the original agreement, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. But to me, and again, I'm going to editorialize about this as well. I don't feel that's good enough. And the reason why I don't feel that's good enough is because it should have never happened in the first place. If you look at it from, I've seen a lot of people on social media kind of hint at the fact that, whatever the players want, they're bringing in the money. They should be able to decide everything. That's just ridiculous, and it's false. And if I were the coach, and a player came up to me and said, "Hey, coach, we don't want the Chiefs to play on third down anymore. We want to play, rando club music." The first thing as a coach, I would do is say, why are you not in the weight room? Why are you worrying about things that don't matter? That are not, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, there's a whole team that handles music and game. Let them do it. That's what I would say.
Well, and there is no way that a football player or players, I don't care how long they've been here, what they've done. I don't care what they've done. I don't care how much money they brought into the university. They shouldn't be dictating what the Chiefs do and don't do during the game.
Yeah. And I think
the problem with that is there were no adults in the room at that point to say, that's ridiculous. Let's worry about the things that we need to worry about. And I'm not, again, I don't want to, I'm not trying to downplay. We're all there to watch the team. I get that. And they are the marquee event of the football game. I understand that. The football team warrants so much because of what they bring in, and I agree with that. Somebody should have said no to that ridiculous, unreasonable request in 2023, and nobody did.
Yeah.
And now we're reaping the benefits. To me, Ryan, it's like another do something.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's another MLK do something where who allow kids are going to ask for everything. Do you give them everything? No, you don't.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the Chiefs, by the way. That's what we're talking about. To me, it's not just about the Chiefs. You're talking about and this whole uproar is not just from Chiefs. This whole uproar is about basically throwing a tradition out the window on the whim of some random hype music
without any input from your fans and students, and
they're getting the input now. And that's why I say I don't think we're at the end result of this that we should be at, because not yet has someone in a position that can make a difference say, you know what, that happened. We're not going to do that anymore. The Chiefs are playing on third down, and nobody even has to take blame for it. I mean, I don't care who made that or didn't make that decision. It's such an easy change back to what should have never happened in the first place. Someone over there needs to say this is ridiculous and get it changed back.
Yep. And I think it goes back to Elijah. Thank you for commenting. College football is about tradition and pageantry. And this move totally goes against those core principles. And to me, Vince, in the age of NIL, in which the players are getting a lot of what they're asking for now, they're getting contracts and deals and money and opportunities, which is great. I support the NIL. I did since the beginning. I think some control should be put into place, but I've always wanted the NIL. Heck, I have college football 25 in my PlayStation because of NIL. Okay. So I'm all for it.
And I'm losing all the games still, by the way.
But at the end of the day, they can have all that, but let us keep some carcass of what old college football was, which was college football, the bands, the pageantry, the traditions. Because if you take all those away, we're just watching NFL games. That's all. If I hear, fourth down brought to you by Home Depot and then EDM music playing, that's not Florida State. That's just a mess. And so I hope that the players and the people who are making these decisions above them will say the players want the music, and that's an individual choice, but the university is bigger than the players. The history of Florida State is bigger than the wants of individual players. And guess what? Most of the players that have graduated, Hall of Famers, current NFL Pro Bowlers, have tweeted out saying, what are you talking
about?
Shouldn't have happened. Love the war chant on third down. So I don't know if you want to or not at all, Jackson. I know because you wrote the article. Do you have any, and I'll make it clear, any personal feeling about it, like what you would like to see from a personal standpoint? If you don't want to get into it, I'm fine with that.
No, I think that's a fair question. I am a lover of college football. That's what I am. I am as well as being a cradle Catholic, I'm a cradle Nole. I mean, I grew up, going to Florida State games. My dad played basketball for the university in the 80s. I'm just a fan of as much Marching Chiefs as possible, frankly. But I also love the university with all my heart. I'm a graduate. So, once again, and I understand, you guys understand where I'm coming from. But, I'm not pinning anybody against anybody. But what I can say with 100% certainty is that the decision made, and this is more of a, just a political analysis, I guess you could say, is that this opens up a can of worms. It might be called a fallacy, a slippery slope, whatever you want to call it. It begs the question, when does it stop? Because, you don't hear players at Troy wanting to end fight on. You don't see Yankee players wanting to grow facial hair, right? There are traditions that are untouched because the tradition itself becomes larger than the group. And it's almost sort of a rallying cry. It's almost sort of let me rephrase. It is a rallying cry. It is something that is unifying. And I think unless there's enough outcry to change that tradition, for instance, there was a football player, this was during the COVID, the George Floyd stuff. There was a player that said, I'm not going to play for Mississippi State unless the state flag, which had the Confederate flag on it, said, I'm not going to play unless that flag is changed. And so there was enough public outcry to change the tradition of that flag. But to change a tradition without that public calling for it, and then honestly to not necessarily respond to that outcry, creates sort of a Streisand effect, I guess you could say, in which it seems like an easy fix. It seems like something that isn't that big of a deal, but to ignore it only creates more press and only creates more trouble.
That's exactly right. And, going back to what I was saying, no one has to take any kind of blame. No one has to fall on their sword or anything like that, or fall on their spear.
Mm-hmm.
They just need to change it back.
Yep.
It's okay to look back on a decision you made and say, you know what? That wasn't the right decision. And I mean, of all the things that are going not the way we want them to do or want them to right now with the team and the stadium and all this other stuff, what an easy win to just say, you know what? Chiefs are playing third down. I mean, to talk about the immediate, goodwill that would foster. And it wouldn't be fake because it's warranted, but that's, they have to get to that point. And that's why I said, I don't think they yet understand that, by not having an adult in the room calling ridiculousness, what it's caused here now. Hopefully they will, though. The Chiefs are never going, and this is not coming from the Chiefs, by the way. The Chiefs are never going to take that kind of stance. They just aren't. But I guarantee you, they know within themselves that a piece of tradition has been whitewashed away. They know that, and it kills them. But there's no way that they're going to vocalize anything like that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, football drives the bus, and they would rather. It's very much like, hey, father-son relationship. The son doesn't like it, but you got it, Dad. I'll go mow the yard. Because they don't want to cause trouble. They don't want to stir the pot. They want to be good Samaritans of all that's entrusted to them, and so they're gonna go do the work, and they're gonna keep their mouth shut. Which, that's why we have to, the media, the writers.
That's correct.
We have to fight for them because they're not going to do it themselves.
Well, and they can't, and they shouldn't have to. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't have ever had to acquiesce to that.
Yep.
But like I said, there wasn't enough wisdom in the room at the time to make sure they didn't have to come to this point. Jackson, you have anything else that you'd like to kind of talk about, or maybe let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So as it says on the bottom of the screen, if you're listening to the podcast, my name is Jackson Bakich. It is Bakich, by the way. I've gotten Bakich my entire life, so it's no big deal. Do not worry about it. But I'm a writer for Nole Game Day. I was the sports editor of the FSU last year for the 2023-2024 academic year. I'm a writer for the Floridian, covering politics as well.
Oh boy!
I've been with Nole Game Day for I've been with Nole Game Day since late December. Actually, a few days before the Orange Bowl. But I've been watching Florida State my whole life. Instagram, Twitter, exact same handle, just Jackson Bakich, Bakich. Really appreciate you guys having me on. And so, I know I haven't been able to editorialize as much as I personally want to.
Yep.
But as a journalist attempting to be fair,
Good.
I've tried to at least share what I think, within a fair margin. So,
yep. I will say, Jackson,
I appreciate your time.
We were so excited to get you on because we appreciated the article. Vince was like a little school kid when he was like, "Hey, look at my tweet out here," and I was excited to see it, and more excited for the Chiefs that they're getting the recognition and the call outs that they deserve. But let's keep in touch because you write a lot of good stuff. I read a lot of Nole Game Day articles, so you guys do a great work over there. Keep up the amazing work, and let's keep in touch in the future. Who knows? Maybe we can do something in the future.
Thanks, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you all.
Be well, Jackson. Have a good one. All right, Vince.
So
that was awesome.
Yeah. So let me just make sure I've hit all my points here, Ryan.
Yep.
Because I think if you've watched this show long enough, I think people will get a good idea of my demeanor. And but this fired me up pretty good. But I also want to make sure people understand I have full confidence that this is going to get rectified. Like, I have full confidence that the university at some point is going to look at all of this and go, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Because it never should have happened in the first place. Well, I will also say that, for those of you that are watching, if you care about tradition and Chiefs aside, you can't just not speak up. There are ways to do it in the right way, and calling people out and calling them names and, all that kind of stuff is definitely not going to get the result you want. But this is a battle worth fighting, and we should continue to bring it up until it gets rectified. No individual person, regardless of their position, should dictate what's going on in terms of tradition during the game day.
I agree. We only have 20 minutes left, so I want to bounce right into football as a discussion. I think this is a good starting point. Almighty Finn, who is a YouTube member, and you can become a YouTube member by hitting the join button in YouTube. We just did a members-only video right before this show went live for the public. So if you are a member, go check it out. And if you're not a member, join, and then you can go check it out because we had a full discussion on the game day atmosphere, not just the Chiefs discussion. Almighty Finn writes, we knew from the jump that this team would take a step back, obviously, from 13-0. We just didn't know we would start off 0-2. Stay faithful, fans. Things will turn around.
Love it.
I promise, don't listen to the outside noise. Why I wanted to start with this, Vince.
Yeah, I love it.
This is the right attitude. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't be frustrated. I'm pissed. Vince is pissed.
It's
Everyone's
tough to watch right now. It's tough to watch.
That comment isn't about not voicing your frustration, letting off steam, because let's be honest, based on what is on this roster, from a pure Jimmy's and Joe's, star rankings, portal rankings, I've heard a lot of talk about, hey, there's some misses, with DJ, maybe being a bust and some other players not really being as high. Guys, I promise you, take away DJ. He's off the team. Take away all the portal guys we got in the offseason and just have our current recruited from high school lineup, and we have more stars and higher rankings in recruiting than Boston College and Georgia Tech. And so it's not an excuse. And I've heard this tossed around a lot that, this is what happens when you miss on a quarterback in the portable. Well, guys, that doesn't cover this. So I want to start here, Vince. Let's name our terms. I have disagreed with the take that of the greatest sense of we got here because we relied too much on the portal, because you can't do this forever. I actually don't agree with that sentiment. What my thinking on this is, sure, a miss sucks. When you hit a portal guy and you've had a ton of success and you finally do get a miss in DJ, which it appears this might be, it does suck. But it doesn't cause you to lose to Boston College and Georgia Tech when you have more talent overall. What causes you to lose to Georgia Tech and Boston College is a lack of readiness to play the game, which comes down, in my opinion, to poor coaching or certain positions as a whole not having either the requisite talent or the requisite coaching to deliver what is being asked of them. And this is mainly from my standpoint, Vince, coming from linebackers missing key amounts of talent on that side of the field and not being coached properly. Receivers, you can make an argument for, aside from Johnny Wilson and we listen, Keon Coleman, portal guys. Keon seemed like he was ready to play no matter who the wide receiver coach is going to be. And then offensive line. I brought this up last week, Vince. Alex Atkins certainly raised the floor and fixed a lot of problems when he got here to get us to a certain level of competition, but he has not raised the ceiling. We've gotten worse the last 2 years in running the ball and blocking than we did in the previous 2 years before that. So my point of view, Vince, is this has more to do with, when I say culture, I don't mean like the kids being problems in the locker room. When I say culture, I say allowing insufficient coaches to stick around too long because you went 13-0. And so by default, man, how can you fire someone? You fire someone because even though you're 13-0, you should always be striving to get better. And we did not do that. We let these coaches who clearly were not holding up their end of the bargain stick around. And then a byproduct of that, which is 1A of this issue, is because those coaches were allowed to stick around who can't recruit and have proved it again and again, the high school rankings, we don't have players ready to go who can fill that gap like in the linebacker room. So that's my take, Vince. What is your take on this?
I think I've been pretty clear on my belief and want that the linebacker coach scenario had to have changed before now. It should have already happened. I am just coming around to the idea that Alex Atkins, like you said, I'm just now coming around to the idea that maybe he isn't the guy to take us to, to cut the tape, right? Maybe not. But I will say this. The first game, I pretty much put the predominant blame on that game on the staff. The team wasn't ready. They looked tentative and always a step slow. And so they did not know that they weren't ready, which is a problem. If they did not know that they weren't ready, there's definitely a lack of cohesion and confidence with the team. And so I blame the majority of that first game on the coaching staff. The second game, they actually did you'd have to go back and rewatch the game, but there were some things that were definitely cleaned up between game 1 and game 2 But then in game 2, DJ would miss a throw, but then he'd throw a couple and guys would drop it. It was actually very appropriate that at a certain point during the game, the theme to Benny Hill started playing over the most ungodly loud loudspeaker you've ever heard in your life. Because it was like a train wreck. It was like a circus. It was like clowns running around in a circus. How many things were going wrong? So the second game for me was more of an execution from the player's standpoint. They just could not seem to string multiple successful plays together enough.
Yeah.
And then once that happens, they're already lacking in the confidence standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So the staff has a big task ahead of them. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of the, vocal minority on the social media think that this is all going to get solved by the time they play the next game. That's just not going to happen. What we have to do, and I know this is hard to do, what we have to do as fans is look at the end of the season and look back and go, what happened from the 0-2 on?
Yep.
Because the types of problems we have are not a 1 week fix problem.
Yeah.
You're talking about confidence problem.
Yep.
You're talking about leadership problem. Like, who on the team is saying, this is unacceptable?
Yeah. And I want to be clear. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I want to be clear about my comment on Alex Atkins. And I said last week, Vince and I both said Randy Shannon should have been fired last year.
Yeah.
But he's like past due. But Alex Atkins, what I'm saying is that he took a crap room a couple years ago and he made chicken salad out of it. And that's awesome. So he might be get you to a nice B level, maybe even B plus. But is he elite at development? And what I've seen with my own 2 eyes is now that because keep in mind, these guys on these lines, whether or not he selected them in the portal or recruited them or developed them, these are his guys. And from their own words and Mike Norvell's words, was the deepest, most talented offensive line they've ever had. That's what they said. And you have 2 games of empirical evidence that says they can't run the ball to save their lives. And this is a continuation of last year where they couldn't run the ball to save their lives, except for some Benson making runs spectacularly that got us out of trouble, like very much Dalvin Cook-esque.
And thank God for the Wildcat.
And Cam Akers did during Willie Taggart's tenure. But it's not a one game. Man, I can't believe we couldn't run on that team. We have multiple games where injuries are not the issue now this year. You cannot say.
A little bit. But
not this year. Not this season.
I don't think Robert Scott's back ever.
Yes,
from
but do
his
any
original,
of you out there actually believe that Boston College's talent on their roster on the offensive line is better or worse than ours? Because they look better, and they shouldn't be based on talent alone and based on who we brought in. So I think, Vince, to your point about the end of the season, I want to cover this real quick. After the Georgia Tech game, it was natural to say, that was a weird one. I'm going to consider that a mulligan. That's what we called it in the postgame. Hey, man, this sucks. That was not what we expected. We thought it was, the travel, the prep, first game for DJ, first game for a lot of these wide receivers. It's a mulligan. They'll figure it out. And thank God we play Boston College next week. That was the sentiment. Now the coaches and all of us have been slapped in the face with, this is not a one game issue. This is we got a real problem here. And so very similar to the speech Mike Norvell gave a few years back when we were 0-4. And then you look back at the end of that season and you point back to that moment and say, that was a turning point to where things started changing and they got simpler on offense and on defense, and they simplified everything. And we started moving the ball. And we started having belief. We now Now, we can't know this yet. At the end of this season, we'll look back at right now, because this is the first time that I believe the coaches and everyone involved in that locker room know that it's not just a one-off, we got a problem. And so they have a bye week, which is perfect timing for this kind of situation. Not for fans, because we have to stew on it for 2 weeks. But for the players and coaches, this is perfect. This is what they want. That they have time now to say, okay, if we need to make wholesale changes, quarterback changes, simplifying things, offense, defense, slight scheme changes, if we want to tweak some things, this is the moment. Are they gonna respond like they did a few years back after that 0-4 start? Or do they not? If they don't respond at the end of the year, we're going to say, Mike Norvell, 2025, easing on into the hot seat a little bit. If we respond, we'll say, man, we can't have that happen ever again. Hopefully they learn their lesson, and hopefully we get some new assistant coaches in here that can make sure that never happens, and we made the proper adjustments. Some things can change now, like scheme, like quarterback, like simplification. Some things will likely have to wait till the end of the year, like coaching changes. But Vince, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are the coaches didn't all of a sudden forget how to do what they do, right? So Norvell all of a sudden doesn't know how to spy talent. Like that, it doesn't work that way. So all the people that are saying, Norvell doesn't know what he's doing, and the portal isn't the way to go, and now you're reaping what you sow, and it's just a one-hit wonder because you had Jordan Travis, all this. That's all nonsense. He didn't forget how to build a team. He didn't forget how to eye talent. So the problem is something else. And the problem is that let me go back. It's not like it was just him, too. Nick Saban said we had a top whatever roster in terms of depth. And everybody likes to drool over Nick Saban. So you can crash on all the FSU media and calling them out for blowing sunshine and whatever. But here's the greatest coach that's ever lived, basically echoing the fact that Florida State's got the talent on the roster. So currently, the problem, Ryan, is there is a disconnect from what the leadership of that there's very little leadership on the team, but from the coaching staff translating what they're working on into the game scenario. Mm-hmm. If we get that corrected, then I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Are we playoff okay? No. We are not playoff okay.
No.
Are we, 7 to 8, possibly 9 wins okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
We are. But that's Mike Norvell's job. He's getting paid a lot of money to figure out why what's happening here in the practice field is not translating to what should be happening on the football field. And I got to tell you, I am confident that he is going to figure it out. Does that mean we're going to win the next game? No, I'm not confident that we're going to win the next game yet. Not until I see it. When I see this team starting to have some confidence, starting to say like, oh yeah, we can really do this. Like this is in our DNA. Until I start seeing that, I am going to be the type of fan that is going to be looking for, the killer penalty or the, the wide open touchdown in the end zone that gets missed. I'm going to be looking for that because they have to be able to pull that out of this team to get them back on track. But I am confident, Ryan. I am confident that we're going to see it.
Yeah, I think you and I next Thursday should do a new wins and losses prediction for the rest of this. That would be fun. I found exercise to do.
I'm not doing that.
I'm going to give my prediction next Thursday.
You can give yours because right now I'm going to go game by game because this team is literally in an incremental let's get better mode And if they start hitting their stride, they're going to be really, really good. But the variance on that is if they don't hit their stride, we could be looking at a 2 or 3 win season.
So one thing is clear, I think, and I hope it's crystal clear, because if not, if this one thing isn't crystal clear, Vince, I'm gonna basically say I'm done with the season. If DJU walks out for the Memphis game as the starting quarterback, I think myself and every single person, when they say his name as the starting lineup, if his name, you're gonna hear the boos the whole game. And the fan base, you will not do anything more to piss off the fans than to roll that guy out there. And I don't think it's fair to him to roll him out there.
Yeah.
Because obviously the guy has, I'm not going to say like claim he has like mental, I don't want to go down that road. What I'm saying is the guy clearly has an issue with confidence at every step he's been when he's not playing well. That's clear as day. Look at the body language when he wasn't playing well at Clemson versus when he did have a really good game and things started to kind of work well for him. And it's very much the Vince Young effect. When Vince Young was in the NFL, you're like, man, this guy seems like he's got some not some demons or anything like that, but just a problem with confidence, which listen, I do too. Sometimes I'll be at work and some days I'm just not thinking why am I even in this position? And some days I think I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. So we all have that, but it's apparent to me that no matter what changes they decide to make, it starts with the quarterback, because when the quarterback ain't playing well, the receivers don't feel confident that they can make the plays. The offensive line doesn't feel like it matters if they block or not because the quarterback sucks. And when the team sucks and you throw a pick that almost turns into a pick six and a really crucial down and distance, the defense is going to throw up their arms and say, okay, what do we even do? And it starts with the quarterback. And I promise you, every fan in the Florida State fandom would rather lose with a confident younger player like a Brock Glenn or Luke than lose with a player that wasn't, let's be honest, doesn't feel like ours. It's clear to me that DJ and feels like an outsider because he's a one-year rental. Now, I promise you, if he had played amazing, he would have felt like one of ours real quick. But when you don't come in and play well, you don't feel like you were ours. You feel like a redheaded stepchild. People would give Brock Glenn a ton more grace for similar playing mistakes. You know that, Vince.
I might know that. Let me remind people, if you're watching right now, thank you for joining the show. If you could go like it on YouTube and share it out, that would be awesome. It really helps the show out. And thank you for doing that. During last week or during Monday night's game, regardless of what the metrics say, and by the way, we're going to have Parker Rowland coming onto the show. He was going to come on tonight, but with all with all the Warchant stuff, I gave him the night off. Parker is a professional statistics analyst for football teams. And the company he works for does that. And he's also this year heavily involved with pro football focus as well. So Parker Rowland will be joining us. But regardless what Parker says, if he happens to contradict me on this, there is no way Mike Norvell should have called that fourth down play. Not with the way the team was playing. Not with the way the team was playing. I think he probably would agree with that. I don't know that I saw him say that, but back to DJ. Monday night's game. If you were expecting to see Brock Glenn start the Memphis game, he would have already been in the game on Monday. There is no way if Mike Norvell is going to ride with DJU up through the bye week, he is going to start that game. He is going to start that game.
I disagree. I think that Mike in the moment knew the game. At some point, he felt like the game was probably in the balance up until about the third-ish quarter. When DJ throws that pick and we give up that touchdown in the fourth, let's be honest, as a coach, you're saying the game's pretty much over
Terrible.
in your head.
Terrible. No
But,
way.
I mean, you're down 3 touchdowns with an offense that's putrid. It's not going to happen. You might still call plays like you want to win the game, but he's a realist. And you saw the look on his face on the sidelines. I do appreciate Warchant, by the way, for
capturing that. Yeah.
That face is epic.
Yeesh.
I think Mike in that moment knew it would be unfair for him to put Brock Glenn in without having prepped him for being the starter that week.
He's way more prepped than he was in the championship game.
I agree. But I think it's like, hey, man, this game is what it is at this point. We might as well finish it up with DJ because it ain't happening. And then let's go into the bye and make adjustments. I don't think Mike would make the decision on we need to move on from DJ or stay with DJ until he's sitting at home on Tuesday morning drinking his coffee, trying to figure out what he's going to do about this. I think that's when you would make the decision. That's when I would make the decision if I were a coach.
All right. So it's rare, Ryan, you and I are so diametrically opposed. So I want to make sure we mark this.
Mm-hmm.
You are of the opinion that Brock Glenn is going to stroll out
or
as
Luke
the starter.
Kronhawk.
Okay.
Anyone other than DJ. Hell, I'll take what's his name, Trevor. I mean, he seems excited.
Yeah, and I am of the opinion that it'll be DJU. So those of you in the chat, you've marked us here on this, Ryan. I will buy you a Guinness if you win.
Hey, use the hashtag on X on our predictions. Hashtag either Ryan was right or hashtag Vince was right.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
We're going long though, Vince, and we
are going long. We probably need to wrap this up. But also there was a commitment today. Was it today or yesterday from a linebacker recruit for 2026. So, provided the commitment sticks, and that's a topic we didn't even get into yet because a lot of people are getting really upset and concerned about the recruiting class. We got to start winning games, and that all takes care of itself. So don't worry about that. But the linebacker help, if it sticks, is not going to be here for a while. So even though it's exciting, it is not for a long time.
Breeze Fry, I'm with
you.
Fry. Son of a DJ starting will make me lose my mind up in here. I
That's
feel
fantastic.
Absolutely, it will. So I'm hoping for no DJ on the field and no DJ off the field coming this next game. Now, we're going to get off the show here in a second, but I do want to remind everyone we are in Lot 12 on home games. We're going to be doing the Duke and Notre Dame game live from the Fishware Brewing Company. We have a lot of events coming up. We have members-only videos twice a month, 30 minutes prior to the Garden Old show. If you are a YouTube member, hit the join button. Please, everyone who's live streaming, hit the like button because that's how we grow a channel. That's the only way YouTube recommends it to other people. Please do us that favor. We appreciate you.
Hey, Ryan, before we go, do we have time to give away some memberships? I think we do.
Yeah, we probably do have some time to give away some membership here. Let's play. I want to play some. I can't play the music because I think we're going to get copyright struck for that song earlier, but I don't care.
Yeah.
If we don't make any money monetization off this episode because of the start of the show, by the way, if you missed the start of the show before they copyright strike it, go back and rewind to the beginning and see the intro. I personally enjoyed it, but yeah, let's go ahead, Vince. Let's give.
We're gonna gift 5 memberships right now. So here they go.
First come, first serve, everyone.
They should pop up in the chat, and you can claim them. I just want to make sure we're giving an opportunity for people to become members.
So those 5 who accept it, you can watch our members only video that we posted earlier today and all our members only videos from the past. And then you get it for 30 days for free. And then if you decide you want to keep it, by all means, keep it and sign up for whatever level you want. But grab those free memberships out of the chat while they're still there. We appreciate all of you. I believe, Chris, if you're still in the chat, I think you might be going live tonight at 8:30. If not, then still, guys, subscribe to Spear Addicts. We love Chris over there. Hey, I do want to shout out No Game Day.
Yeah,
it was awesome having
Jackson was great.
Yeah, he was great. I enjoy his articles, and also it was good As always, also subscribe to the Renegade Report, George and Jen. And by the way, we wish Jen a speedy recovery.
Everybody love everybody.
We wish Jen a speedy recovery from her surgery that she announced this past weekend. Vince, I don't know if you saw. So, Jen, thoughts and prayers with you. Hope everything goes okay. We're here for you if you need us. Guys, Garden Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. We have some contacts.
And some info sometimes. Send Chiefs all the damn time, people. And also, let's get the Warchant back on third down. We gotta make it happen. It's ridiculous. It should have never happened. It's not a reasonable request to get rid of a tradition. It's just not. Yeah. Let's get it back.
And Tomcat, I do want to answer a question of how to get to lot 12. So here's the thing: when the lots open, you have to walk there, or find parking or pay for parking elsewhere, because the lots for driving shut down unless you have a parking pass for lot 12. So what you do is you find any parking lot around the entire FSU area, paid for one, park somewhere, park at Chick-fil-A, I don't know, and walk to lot 12, which is right by the tennis courts.
I got to put this up too. I know we're trying to get out of here, but K-Dog, send Chiefs all the time in on third down. Somebody posted, I can't remember who it was, it said Marching Chiefs instead of MCATDT was Marching Chiefs except on third down, which I thought was very, very funny.
It's great. I support the Chiefs. We want to see them more often. Hopefully they make the changes that we all are wishing for. But guys, great show, great times. Go subscribe, go join, and we'll see you next week on the Garden Old Show.
Live from the Captain Black's Fishing Studios.
Be well, everyone. Have a great Friday.
Bye, everybody.